Since November 2019, now you're full-time into your personal venture. So please tell us more about that. Because in India, people feel that, okay, being into speaking and event, इसमें पैसा कहाँ है? मतलब घर खर्चा कैसे चलेगा types. See, you can always do that as a philanthropist, okay, with the intent to help, but can there be some commercial sense also to this? And
I'm glad you're asking this question, because it's something that most people do not realize. So what I began to, as I said, I always love speaking. Like, it genuinely comes from my heart. I love interacting with crowds. I love synthesizing my thoughts in a concise, structured manner so that someone who's listening to me is able to bring about change. So I started formally speaking at colleges and schools and institutes and companies in 2018. But of course, I wasn't charging because I didn't want to. It was all about me getting better at that art, me even realizing whether it's something I enjoy, me realizing it's something that the world needs, me asking whether it's something that makes me happy. And I did that for a year and a half. And I used to do no more than one event a week. So it didn't consume a lot of my time. If I was traveling out of station for work, I used to club it with some talk. So I was able to give it in Bombay or in Bangalore as well. There were a few occasions I traveled international too, but again, always clubbed it with work and made it happen. And then when I stepped down as the CEO of Nearby, it wasn't that I had any solid salary that I was drawing. All the wealth that I had created and all the excess capital that I had generated over these years, I had already invested it, most of it startups. So they were illiquid. They could not pay for my monthly existence. So I had to find an income stream. And that is when I said, okay, I've been doing this for some time now. Can I convert this into an economic activity and start charging money? And I started with a figure that I felt was reasonable. And I was surprised how many people said yes to it. So I continued increasing the price. And people still kept saying yes to it. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this for money. Like, this is not the way that I'll ever get rich. It's only required for me to have a monthly income that pays for my bills and maintains the work that I have and the life that I lead. So I then put a stop to the maximum that I wanted to get in a month. And I just said, I'm going to now pick and choose who I get to work with. And that was a great spot to be. So I charged I believe, a fairly high amount for speaking in front of a corporate for an hour and a half. And I'm surprised how many people still say yes. But what I do, which is the mechanism that it works, is all of my content is free and is available. Like, every single day on every platform possible, I post a video. And nothing that I say in these corporates is anything new. It's all of that rehashed, specific to the context of that corporate. But that is how this works. So should I want, or should anyone else want to consume my content for free? They can go on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on anywhere else. And if they really want my time as a live performer, I will charge money. And that is how I began to make money. And I was surprised at how much money I could make, to the extent that I really don't need a job anymore. And I can work for a week in a month and still earn the same amount that I used to earn while I was working. And that's ridiculous. Like, I have 75% free time now. I work for 25% and I make just as much money.
And you can list yourself on the market. So we can buy your share.
And funny enough, Anurag, that's actually an idea I had last week, which is, what if people were stocks? And I would love to buy a stock in you. I would love to buy a stock in some young kid who is coding or is hacking or is gaming, and I see a future. I would love to buy a stock in some person that I know from a long time, and I can definitely take a bet on that person. So and I'm very certain that that's going to happen in the future, sooner than later. And this is just one thing that I wanted to speak about, because it exemplifies what I believe is a necessity for today's world, which is the growth mindset. That you face challenges not with the way of avoiding them, but you face challenges as a way of overcoming them and thus becoming better at what you do. So when COVID or Corona happened, clearly my income stream went to zero. Like there were no talks happening anymore. There was nothing. Like the motivation was the last thing on people's mind. And there were no organized events. There was nothing that was happening. And people are not necessarily used to the online webinar motivation thing. They're getting warmed up to it. But early on in late Feb, early March, that wasn't there. So I had to then come up with, hey, if I don't have money and I'm literally moving month to month to month, and this was my only income stream, how do I fulfill that? And I asked myself this question: what am I good at? What is it that I genuinely know that I think people can benefit from? And the only thing that I genuinely know is how to start a company, from literally the idea all the way to launching the first version of the product. And I created that into an online conference. I called it the Future Founders Conference, which is for people who are future founders and would want to start their company one day. And I said, this will be a ticketed event. It will be a ticketed event because nothing comes for free, but it's pay what you want. You can pay whatever you want. It could be even 1 rupee, but I want you to pay. I want you to pull out your wallet and go through the friction of paying something online, because that shows me your commitment towards what you want to do. And I had people all the way from 1 rupee all the way to an obnoxiously high amount. And in a month, I have sold 2,800 tickets for this conference, making more money than I used to make while talking. And it's crazy. It is just crazy. Like, it's like nothing can stop you if you in your mind don't want to stop yourself. And everything will emerge from it. I'm not the smartest person I know. I'm not the one who is the most brilliant, the one with the best ideas and so on. But I think what works for me is I never give up. I never, ever give up, irrespective of the circumstance. I'm like, every problem is an opportunity. Find out what that opportunity could be. And it's ridiculous how many people don't think that they don't think like that. You know, the number of people who are complaining about everything that's happening right now in the world, and there's enough to be unhappy about. I don't know why they complain.
No, absolutely. I mean, it is amazing. So on this YouTube channel, I have a lot of people saying yes because I'm catching them because of COVID. So this is just an opportunity, right? Because otherwise they're always traveling. So yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
And there is no, so in the morning only I put up a social media status that instead of attending webinars about unemployment and lack of jobs of COVID, why don't you start thinking about how you can start trading in masks and sanitizers? Maybe you'll never have to make a CV again.
Exactly. Like and this is something that I was speaking about, and I haven't written about it publicly, but it's like, here is one thing that I would love everyone to do. In this lockdown period, if you can find a way of making 100 rupees purely through online, you would have learned a life lesson. Sirf 100 rupees banane. Just figure out how do you make 100 rupees selling something, creating something, promoting something, doing whatever comes to your mind. But use this lockdown to find a way that you can make money purely online. And when you would have gone through that, you would have had a life lesson.
The next question to you is that in spite of being so successful in your professional endeavor, and of course that is there, but in spite of having that, you could have opted for option A, could have been to have airs about yourself and being unapproachable, that CXO, but you rather chose to connect with the millennials, being so approachable. I read that you had a lunch with every new employee each day, because you really felt apologetic that you didn't know about your employees. So why are you so approachable in spite of being so successful? That is contrary to our times, at least, because the more people become successful, the more they want to withdraw to that, oh, touch me not kind of a thing. See, I am a partner of a big four firm. I'm an investment banker. I'm a CEO of a startup. Why is Ankur Warikoo so approachable?
I don't know, man. I think it goes back to the same lesson that my parents have taught me time and again. Just always remember where you've come from. Like I remember that we had nothing growing up, and at that point of time, was I ambitious? Yes. Did I wish for the best for me and my family? Yes. Did I have dreams that a lot of people laughed at and found ridiculously ambitious? Yes. But there were people who took a call on me. There were people who took a bet on me, whether it was Michigan State who gave me an admission, whether it was ISB that gave me an admission, whether it was A.T. Kearney that gave me a job. And I know that I was never deserving of any of those places. I had to work hard to get to the point where I felt I could deserve it, but I wasn't deserving of them when I got them. But someone took a bet on me. And I say the same thing. It's like, there are so many bright people out there. There's so many talented people out there. There's such wonderful stories that come out. That Lunch with Variku thing that I started, like, it taught me so much about people, their motivations, their upbringing, and how they're so different, and yet in some way we're just so similar. And it just gave me a lot, one, to become a better leader, because now I knew that if I'm trying to lead someone like an Anurag, it is not going to do the same way that I lead someone like an Ankur. Very different people. Maybe the same level of capability, the same level of intent, but very different worldview, very different upbringing, very different way of looking at things, approaching things. So that lunch just gave me all of those. It made me a better leader. It made me far more empathetic towards people. And I genuinely think that my biggest motivation, honestly, Anurag, when I put out this content is, I realized that I made a lot of choices in life out of ignorance, because I didn't know any better. Like class 10th में अच्छे number आए, science ले लो. Right? There's nothing there. माँ बाप या भाई बहन अगर CA हैं या उनका अपना business है, commerce ले लो. अगर number अच्छे नहीं आए, arts ले लो. It's like, we don't know any better. We're not aware when we're making the choices. Clearly not. We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. कोई idea नहीं. And you became a CA, but I don't know whether you knew what it was to get into one. I became or at least I was studying to become an astrophysicist. I clearly didn't know what it is to become one. And most of the choices we made were out of ignorance. And I realized that if there's only one thing that matters, it is awareness. And in today's world, there is no excuse not to be aware. You can actually, sitting in the comfort of your house, make yourself aware about anything. The awareness of choices in front of you, the awareness of decisions that you can make, the awareness of what you could do, how you could do it, why you should do it. So my genuine intention of putting out this content is just to help people become more aware. Ultimately, they have to make their choices. Ultimately, they have to be responsible for what they do. But those choices should not come from a point of ignorance. They should not come because they don't know any better. It should be because now they know everything. And yet they make the choice that they make because now they know that that choice means something. So my intention of becoming approachable is just to have as many awareness data points that I can, because then I get to understand people and how they think. And honestly, it's not a drag. Like I don't suffer from lack of energy in doing this. Like I genuinely feel energetic when I meet people, when I speak to them, when I engage with them.
Oh, absolutely. And you spoke a very good thing about lack of information about career choices. So many career choices are happening just because people don't know things better. So today I was counseling my own younger brother. He's got a very good aesthetic sense. And so society tells him that he's an average student. I tell him that if you learn animation and website designing and you start earning, then a typical Marwari family, once you start earning, that average and non-average will all go. And he was like stupefied. I mean, can I actually be successful? And I said, yes. Why not design? Yes. Why only CA or MBA? Because your dad is a CA. And he was like, oh, great. Yeah. So
that is so awesome. That's brilliant advice.
Thankful to you that you do it at a much larger level. Now, your failure CV is one concept that has found resonance amongst a lot of people. So what are the key points on your failure resume? Moments of dejection when you question life. Why me? I mean, you know, when you are LinkedIn profile 2018, you would never have questioned why me. But certainly there would have been moments in your life where you would have questioned, why me? Why me? Mere saath hi aisa kyun hota hai?
No, and it's thankfully I have had several failures, and I'm a classic example of having tried so many things that I didn't end up doing a lot. I wanted to get into IITs, I tried twice, didn't. I wanted to get into IIT Masters, tried once, didn't. I wanted to get into the top universities in the US, they didn't take me. I wanted to get into the IIMs as well as the ISB, and none of them happened. I wanted to get into the top consulting firms after ISB, didn't happen. I wanted to, once I started Accentium and then quit, and we sold Gaadi.com, and I was looking for what next to do. I was like, why don't I go and work in a really big company and learn what it is about technology and everything? So I applied to Google, didn't make it. I then became the CEO of Groupon India. And there I had multiple failures around management, around leadership, around not managing people very well. And then we were trying to raise money to buy out Nearby. Almost every VC refused. The only one who said yes, which is Sequoia, is the one that we continue to work with. And that felt like a moment of rejection. So there have been multiple times when I had to lay off people at Nearby. It just felt like the most devastating thing ever. So there's several things that I bear on my chest as moments of failure, as things that didn't go my way. But thankfully, I didn't ever find myself asking the question, why me? ये मेरे साथ ही क्यों होता है? Because I always felt that was a very defeatist question. There is no answer to it. Even if you got the answer, it will not help you get over it. Because it's not like if I gave you the answer why you'll feel happy about it. Most likely not. It's possible you'll feel even worse about this. So I have a very different way of approaching whenever I'm faced with a failure-like situation. And that is, instead of asking myself, why is this happening to me? I ask myself, what is this telling me? What is this trying to tell me? Because there's always something that is evident why this happened. And if you just probe on why is this happening to me, it never helps. But if you ask me, what is this trying to tell me? What is the situation trying to tell me? If every institute has rejected me, what is this telling me about myself? If I haven't got a job at the place that I wanted, what is this telling me about myself? If I had to lay off people, what is this telling me? If I had to do or get into this point where I failed, what is this telling me? Because if I ask this question, I at least always found that I am able to navigate through the situation far better, because then you have an approach, or at least you have a mindset that tells you, keep going at it. Don't stop. Just keep going at it. And at some point of time, this will get over, and there will be sunny days, and there'll be nice, happier days. And that's when what you learned, what this told you, will come into use better than anything else.
At these points, you don't think of luck or पिछले जन्म का कर्म का फल or something?
पिछला जन्म तो पता नहीं, because I don't think about that, but luck for sure, man. I genuinely, like, I personally feel that I am 70% luck. I'm literally so lucky to be where I am, doing what I'm doing. And when I look back at all the important events in my life, I'm like, shit, this was just plain lucky. This is just so goddamn lucky. I had no idea where this just came about all of a sudden, and I'm just so grateful that it happened. And of course, the famous, not the famous, but actually the best thing that Shah Rukh Khan once said, and I've spoken about this a lot. He, in a talk show with Anupam Kher once, Anupam Kher asked him, how are you so famous and how are you so successful, Shah Rukh? And he said, sir, मेहनत पाने के लिए सब लोग काम करते हैं, लेकिन मेहनत पाने के बाद मुझसे ज़्यादा कोई काम नहीं कर सकता. And that is how he exemplifies hard work. Everyone works hard to get an opportunity. But once you get the opportunity, no one can work harder than me. And I feel that is an important part. But getting the opportunity, I feel, is a lot of luck. And no opportunity comes with the subject line, great opportunity. It just comes. And then you have to react to it, and what makes you react to one and not react to one feels like luck. I am definitely a product of that. But once you are in that opportunity, what you make of it is, of course, your doing.
Fair point. As we now head towards the end of this session, so what is your mantra for fun and fitness? How do you look so young at 40? So
this is a big shift that happened. Like, I almost got a new life in 2012, where, as again luck would have it, I was diagnosed with a hip bone disease, because of which I had to undertake a surgery, because of which I was on bed rest for several months and crutches for several months, because of which I was like, oh shit, this just happened to me and caught me off guard. And before that, I was very unhealthy. I used to weigh some 89, 90 kgs. I used to eat all sorts of random shit, never exercise, very poor discipline around eating and about taking care of your
I can't
body.
believe this.
No, if I show you and I photograph, if I show you of who I was before 2012, you'd be like, oh my god, who is this person? Like I looked 50. I looked literally much older than
you can put a
I
photograph
really was.
before after on social media on your Instagram.
It's actually there. So if you go and search for Variku 6-pack abs, you will find my detailed blog post of how I got 6-pack abs at the age of 33.
Oh,
and that is a full-blown journey, and it has before and after photographs, some not so safe for work photographs of the after ones, but you'll see that entire journey. But what happened because of that is I started realizing how important fitness is, health is, and ever since I've just stuck with that. So I eat, and I eat very well. I work out every single day. Like even during the lockdown, I used to work out every day in my home, in the same room, using my own body weight. And in all of the reasons of why I don't have equipment and everything like that, that's just an excuse for someone who doesn't want to do it. And I genuinely, Anurag, found a new life when I found this fitness regime of mine. Plus, I spend a lot of time now taking care of myself. I meditate. I make sure that I spend time with myself first thing in the morning. I read. I do things that I love doing. I do things that make me happy. So before my day actually formally starts at 9:30 or 10 or so, I would have spent almost 4 or 5 hours doing things that I love doing. And that is what centers me.
That's fantastic. And maybe we can have you can go Instagram live with your meditation with a lot of youngsters, because a lot of them would feel that, now, yeah, but acceptability is growing of meditation, because earlier it was like, Arey, boodhe thodi ho chuke hain ki we'll do meditation. But now that's gaining acceptability. Final question, Ankur.
Exactly.
What is your advice to youngsters who are watching this show?
I honestly have, like, it'll be stupid for me to give any advice without knowing you, your context and everything. But if there was one advice that I could give myself, and I asked this question, what advice would I give to the 20-year-old Ankur Variku, is the same thing that I mentioned early on in this show, which is make sure that your choices are coming in from a point of awareness and not ignorance. Every choice that you make in life, be aware of the choices that you're making, be aware of the other choices that you can make. Throw yourself at that problem, research about it, speak to people, live and comprehend how they have gone about making their choices and what has been the result of that. Because some choices are not reversible, while most are, but some life choices are not. And you don't want to make them from a point of ignorance. You don't want to make life choices out of ignorance where you didn't know any better. And that's my only advice that I would give myself back when I was 20, because there were clearly some choices I made out of ignorance, and thankfully they didn't hurt me as much, but I do know that I would have been a better spot possibly if I'd made them out of awareness and not ignorance.
Amazing word. And you speak so well. I mean, as always, since 2012, I've been in awe of the way you speak. So still today, I'm in awe, and today you are on my YouTube show. I still can't believe that. So thank you so much. And audience, if you have liked, and of course you have liked this, you have to like and share this video and follow Ankur on his social media handles, including his YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Ankur, for coming on this show. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much, Anurag. I love what you're doing. Thank you for all the energy and all the commitment you put towards it. My best wishes for not just this YouTube channel, but your life in general. You are adding value to a lot of people, and I love the way you do it. Thank you for being so persistent, and I'm glad that I got the opportunity to be on the show.
Thank you so much.